You're listening to Dirty Feet, a podcast from No More Radio.
Vous écoutez le podcast Dirty Feet sur les ondes de No More Radio.
Hosted by,
animé par
Allison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
Stay tuned.
We're gonna move you.
On today's episode of Dirty Feet, we're going to be talking about Little Lady. Little Lady is a character created by Sandrine Lafond. She's a clowny, dancey kind of character. And Sandrine created her in 2011 when she made their first solo show called Little Lady, combining her circus and dance performance background into this production. Most recently, Little Lady's Meanders, which is the new show featuring this character, is being presented by Densité at l'Espace Go here in Montreal. So we're going to talk to Sandrine a bit about where this character came from, where she's headed, and about her background influences on the creation. Enjoy. Sandrine Lafond is a contemporary dance and circus artist. She has performed for Cirque du Soleil, Celine Dion, and Marie Chouinard. Today we will be talking about her solo show, Little Lady's Meanders, which also integrates her new interest, clown. The show is currently being presented at Espace Go here in Montreal. Now, new passion. I'm saying new because as far as I understand, you studied clown for a while there, and then in 2011 you created your first project with this character, Little Lady.
Yes, because I've been dancing since I was 5 years old. I did that all my life, and then a bit more than 5 years ago, I started to study clown and bouffon. And I really, my goal was really to create a character. I never wanted to be a clown, and I actually do not wear the red nose on stage. But studying clown gave me the technique, to actually create a character.
And then there's also circus in your background, working with Cirque du Soleil, and I imagine that also includes some acrobatics in there. Where did that come into your parcours?
Just before creating basically that character, I worked for around 5 years with Cirque, and the influence of the circus, I would say, with that character is the makeup. It's a heavy makeup. So it's definitely exactly in line with what I did with Cirque du Soleil before. The costume also itself, it's very flashy, a lot of colors. And I don't do acrobatics, but I am a very flexible person. I was just born like that. I was very lucky. So I basically use everything that I was born with physically, and even positions that I was never asked to do on stage, because as a dancer I wasn't required. So it just gives me the freedom through that character to just really enjoy all my possibilities.
And as far as creating your own work, is this the debut of it when you started working on the Little Lady character?
It's actually the second piece. So I created the first one in 2011, 2012. I did a French tour through the States and Canada. So this is the second piece for theater. But Little Lady has also a life on videos. We have short 2-minute videos, Little Lady at the beach, Little Lady in the snow, in the desert. And also through my travels, I take pictures of Little Lady in every city I go. So she went to China on the Great Wall, in Macau, in the south of France, everywhere. So she exists through different medium.
And this character itself, from what I can tell from the images and the videos that are available on littlelady.org, she has some contradictions in her age. She's got this head wrap and these big glasses and a cane, but at the same time you've got these beautiful bare legs doing extraordinary things, showing strength. So can you tell us a little bit more about the personality of Little Lady that delves further than my perception right now?
Little Lady in general is seen as being kind of half old, half young. But really, when I created her, she's actually half human, half cockroach. So that's why she's really physically, weird. But also that's why she, her head is covered, her hair, because she has antennas under and she doesn't want people to see them. Otherwise, that's way too weird. So, but most of the time people see her as an older lady. So yes, that's why it's confusing. It's like the top is a bit older and then the bottom is not old at all. But I like the confusion.
In this show itself, the kind of second reprise on stage for Little Lady Meanders seems to be about relationships and misunderstandings and love. Did the themes of the new work come about from the drive of the character, or did something else inspire you to explore this territory in your new work?
I still get really inspired from my life in Vegas. The first show was really about overconsumption of pills, of medicaments, and plastic surgery. And this one is really, for me, at the base, about loneliness and surconsummation of anything that we hear that we're supposed to buy and enjoy all the time. So yeah, those were the seeds of the creation, and then it evolved through that.
And what was it you were doing in Las Vegas for 5 years?
For Celine Dion, for 5 years, for her first show there, A New Day.
In the description, you've also mentioned that it's a burlesque fable, and I'm wondering what that refers to. It says this highly colorful one woman show is a burlesque fable full of laughter and emotion. I also noticed that Holly Gauthier-Frankel is noted as one of the voices. Voiceovers in your work.
Yeah, Holly is a great friend, and she accepted to be part of the Little Lady adventure. Yeah, and I know she is a burlesque actress. I wouldn't say it's not burlesque in the way that Holly practice. I think it would be more in the way that it's really colorful. It's what we see in burlesque, where, they are like, it's flashy. With strass and, different, like, material, like it's all glamorous in that way. And Little Lady has that in her because she was born in Vegas. So like her glasses have diamond on them. She has like a fur coat. So she has that, even if it's not too in your eyes, but it's still there. That's why.
All right. So after creating the first Little Lady show in 2011, you did that fringe tour you were talking about in 2012, where you went to, 10 cities?
10 cities for a total of 68 shows.
Madness. Yeah. So of course, I'm also familiar with the fringe circuit. We did a tour last summer with not quite as many cities under our belt, but I'm familiar with how the fringe tour can be a blast. It can also be like a hotbed for like inspiration and artistic development. With your endless repetition of the show, you can kind of see where it's going to go and all that. I guess what I'm most curious about is how it contrasts what you were most likely doing with Cirque, touring around in a completely different environment where there's lots of support, versus your own work. You're on the streets, flyering, pushing yourself, finding your own way around the country and your own places to sleep. Yeah. How was that?
I had a blast because I was really ready to create my own show and being in charge of what I wanted exactly to happen. My time with Cirque was absolutely fantastic. You mentioned it, like the conditions are amazing. You're traveling the world. I did special events all around the world, and, you're just put up in beautiful places. And, I had a blast with them, but I was ready to go back on the one-on-one to actually see my audience, meet them, be closer to them. Because I felt like those big shows are really, really amazing, but I felt personally far away from the audience. So I wanted to come back to that, to come back to something, more simple, and still full of imagination and creativity, but on another level. So definitely taking on a fringe tour was absolutely crazy, just in my car with my stage manager, all the props and decor in the back, and just basically driving from town to town was really heavy. And I mean, I learned so much, how to sell my show. What do people want to hear when they are in the lineup for another show that's going to make them want to come and see my show? Figure it out who they are really, really fast, and what do I need to say? It may not be exactly what I do in my show, but what is the word that is going to make them want to come and see my show? And even if it's not the kind of show they're going to like, I just need to come. I need them to come, and then I start my work to make sure that they like what I do. So I learned so much how to sell myself, how to present Little Lady as a character, the show itself. And the reason why I took on so many cities is because it was my first time as a creator and interpret and creating a character. And I really wanted to make sure that I thought 10 towns, by the end, the show is going to be so tight. If you don't like it, it means that it's because it's not your taste, but it's not because it's not going to be good, because it's going to be really, really good. So it helped me also to evolve through those 10 cities to actually really become Little Lady. And that was really the reason why I signed on 10 cities.
Yeah. So your show in Fringe Festival in New York and your show over in Vancouver Fringe are completely different, I imagine.
So different. I remember at the end of the tour, I actually watched the first show in New York, and I'm like, ooh, yes. Oh, so happy we worked on that.
Were there lessons from that you could carry over in this new creation the Little Lady Meanders that you produced afterwards?
What I learned through that is that, it seems fantastic to do everything yourself, but I need support. So when I came back, all my friends were like, it was time already to register for the next, tour for Fringe. And I was just like, guys, I'm not registering for that. Like, I want support. I want to have help. So I was lucky enough to get a co-production with Densité, then through them have Espace Go, have a real theater where I can actually settle down, create, ask for a grant. I actually got the grant for creation. So actually everybody got paid this time compared to the first tour where everything was paid, but nobody got paid. And that was really important for me. Like on a certain point, everybody needs to have a living. So let's make it also worth it financially for everybody. So that was a big change for me. Like I didn't want to go on the road and not make a living. I've made a living through my art all my life. And, I want that to continue, of course. And even through, I'm not even done with the show, but I learned, there are other people that I really need with me to support me and help me to bring it again to the next level. So it's a learning curve.
Yeah, on this show, you're working with plenty of people. I think there's two other people involved in the costume design. There's somebody involved in makeup and props. And it sounds like there's you couldn't pack up this show and take it on the road. Like there's a lot of elements involved. Do you want to tell us a bit about maybe your prop work and your costume?
It's actually a show that will be really, really, really light to tour, but not for a Fringe. Definitely, it's way more than 50 minutes in and out. I made all the props and decor myself over the last 2 or 3 months. It was the first time. It was absolutely fantastic to figure out all of it and seeing, I had specific images and being actually able to make them come true was amazing. Myriam Cusson, who is also one of the director, helped me in the vision. But I had, a lot of support and people working with me. I have two directors that also helped me with the text and the translation. So it's, it's not just myself. Of course, I carry all that myself, but I have really wonderful support with all the team.
Last year, you performed the Little Lady work in Tokyo. Different societies tend to have different humor and is different from us as Tokyo. How did they respond to your work? Was it much different? Did they laugh at different times than us North Americans?
I have to say, no. They were the big difference for me, let's say, would be when I went to Orlando, when people actually would talk to me. in the audience, they actually talk to Little Lady. And I was just like, oh, okay, great, fantastic. And then you go to London, Ontario, and it's like you can hear a fly passing by. And they like it, but they react very differently. In Japan, no, they reacted like North American, like they really loved it. They were just amazed by the character. Like, first of all, it's like, okay, what is that? And then once they, let go of wondering what it is, then they start to enjoy. But I didn't feel that much difference between them and North America, actually. I was surprised.
And it's a piece without language, right? You make vocalizations, but not necessarily.
Yeah, because Little Lady doesn't talk. She makes noises. So that first one is really, really easy to tour. The second one is going to be translated wherever we go, and it's already in French and in English, but they are voiceovers, being one of them being Holly. Mm-hmm. So it's the desire to actually, have real words in this one was for the audience to be able to feel in the show even more. Because the first one was really about the discovery of what and who is Little Lady, and for myself too, as a creator, and for the audience. And this one I really wanted to have, to explore a situation that any of us has been through already.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the soundscape of the piece, Little Lady Meanders?
Yeah. I'm really lucky because I have a composer. His name is Yves Frula, and he works. I met him when I was working with Celine, because he works with her as a musician. He works also for many other people, many other musicians. He's absolutely fantastic because he really understands the world of Little Lady, and he's the one who's been making all the musics since the beginning, even for the videos. He actually saw the show, saw Little Lady live for the first time last week. So he'd been creating music for so long without really seeing her. Hopefully he loved her, so that was great. So I know we're going to continue working together. There are a lot of noises also throughout the show, like the cues for the music and the sounds are like, it's endless. It's a lot for the person who is actually at the soundboard, because sometimes I follow them, sometimes they have to follow me. It was already like that for the first show, but this one is even like doubled. And it's really, really important because it really helps for the audience to feel the, where she's at emotionally, to be able to just transmit it to the audience.
So we're going to play a little bit of Yves Frula's work now for an impression of the atmosphere at Little Lady's Meandering. So back in 2012, when you made your tour, you purposefully left out Montreal. So has the time come where you feel confident enough to present your work back here at home?
Yeah, the reason was really like to not be home. It was too early in the tour, and I felt that the character, from my point of view, wasn't solid enough. And so, yeah, now I feel comfortable to actually introduce Little Lady to all my friends that have heard about Little Lady since 2011. So, yeah, but oh my God, the week before, I was so stressed. Because still, it's a big thing. People know me for Marie Chouinard, for Cirque, for Celine, and they know me as an interpret, but not as a creator also. So that's a big step for me and for them, for them to be able to see me on a different light. So yeah, with this show, I was like, okay, now I feel ready. She is strong enough as a character herself to carry herself. So yeah, it has been a blast to actually see, the faces that I know in the audience, to recognize them every night. Yeah, that's a real treat.
I'm curious about how your body awareness, like you have an incredible physical history of performance. When you began to work in this field with clown and integrating that into your work, was that a confusing journey, or did it inform very well? Was there already a strong connection? When
I started to create, when I went into clown and create a character, in my mind, it was really because I really wanted to stay on stage, but the dance asks you so much physically. I've pushed my body since I was 5, and I really wanted to stay on stage, but not to push it anymore the way I was asked to. So I really wanted to do a transition for an aging body and a soul also aging. So the character, when I created it physically, it was nice because I could go in any physical situation, and make it interesting. And by giving physical positions that I would have never been asked when I was working for companies. So also, basically, I do my show. I don't need to warm up before my show. I do yoga. I make myself really strong during the day. Of course, I train, but I don't need to warm up because I go into my facilities, and it's really enjoyable to do that because I just feel like I'm at home. I'm at home working with my body and using all those little details that I could even, take from my everyday life, but just put them on stage with the light on. So it's very, very enjoyable.
In this kind of work, like your audience reaction is vital, or not just to inform you of what's going on, but it seems to build the show itself. It's kind of, you're doing it together. How do you must have to approach then the video work that you do with Little Lady completely differently, because in that sense you're putting it out there and it's not necessarily getting a reaction live.
For me, as much as it's the same character, the videos for me and the stage work, I see it in a very different way. For me, like the videos are like little snippet of a little lady's adventure. Oh, she's, at the beach in the snow. So I see it as something very detached, even if it's the same character. On stage, what I love is, all my life in contemporary dance, we have a fourth wall where we don't communicate that much with the audience. We don't. What is nice with the character is that if somebody says something or drops something, I can react to that and I can play with that. I can drop the script, go with the audience if there is something happening, and then once I'm done with them, come back and continue with the script. Like I remember in Orlando, I had that somewhere else, but I remember very clearly in Orlando when I did my first show. On a certain point, I don't know why, but there was a mother, I'm sure, with a baby passing very, very close from the backstage wall, and the only thing we could hear was the baby crying like it was the end of the world. And well, everybody heard it, so I had to stop and play with that. And then come back. And when the audience sees that you're listening so much to them, then there is definitely no fourth wall. They are with you in your room, in your world. And that is to have that freedom to include them. Let's say if somebody's like, oh, achoo, and I just turn around and look at them and acknowledge that I heard them. And that just like brings the communication with the audience. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I love that.
So Las Vegas has been such a source of inspiration for you. It sounds like, well, especially for Little Lady, and these themes of overconsumption and fakeness, perhaps. Is that fair? And disappointment, miscommunication. Do you have a love-hate relationship with Las Vegas?
When I left it after 5 years in the show, yes, I did. Yeah, I was really like, oh, I love it, but God, I hate it. By now I'm fine. It took me a few years, but what I love from Vegas is the desert. the emptiness. You can be in the desert and you can see like the sky 360. It's absolutely fantastic. And you can really be alone in the desert. Like it's kind of a luxury by now because we're so many, to know that you go on a trail and you're not going to meet anybody. You actually need to have water and cell phone and everything to make sure you're safe. And that is fantastic. The strip and that overflowing of people that are there just to, with the dream to make money and the American dream and, making more and buying more and wanting more because that's going to make them happy. That for sure was a big no-no for me. I don't gamble. I don't, really go out. I don't overdrink or whatever. So that was so far from me that at the beginning I really, really rejected it. But then when I left after the 5 years, I realized that it actually really inspired me, and it really became one of the theme of Little Lady. Everything is more all the time because it's supposed to make you more happy. And we know it's not true, but we're also raised to believe that. So somewhere we do believe it, that we want it or not. We go through that every single day. So it's definitely something that it's present in my work because it's present in our life.
What's going to be next for Little Lady?
Well, I already have I have the costume. I have a new costume. This is the same one, but with some different attachment for the next show. That's I'm not going to tell you more about that, but that's the second show follows the first one. There is definitely you can follow the story through the different shows. You can see, of course, the number 2 without needing to see the number 1. Through the number 2 and the voiceover, you kind of have hints of where she comes from and what happened. So I definitely have the number 3. It's not written yet, but I know what it's going to be. Otherwise, I have 2 videos that are going to be coming out this spring and the summer. One is a Little Lady in the Cherry Blossom that I filmed last year when I was in Tokyo, and a Little Lady at the beach that I filmed when I was in Singapore last winter. So that's what's coming up for her. So I have some video work to do.
So it sounds like you found great comfort in Little Lady, and she's going to stick around for a while.
Yes, she's definitely taking her life on her own, and I feel sometimes that she's gone already. She's like traveling, and I'm still here, and I'm wondering where she is. So yeah, she definitely has her own life. I just have to keep up with her.
Little Lady's Meanders, or Les Méandres de Little Lady, is a solo show by dance and circus artist and our guest today, Sandrine Lafond. And it's being presented by Danse Cité at Espace Go in Montreal until the 7th of March. There's also a talk back on March 5th after the show. So if you want to hear more insight from Sandrine, that would be a good time to go. You can also visit littlelady.org to see videos and photos featuring Little Lady and all the rest. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Dirty Feet was previously recorded at the Montreal Improv Theatre and is currently recorded out of Mainline Theatre. Thanks, dudes.
Dirty Feet est produit et animé par,
produced and hosted by Alison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Moret-Robert.
You can find out more about our show at nomoreradio.com, follow us on Twitter at Dirty Feet, and find us on Facebook at Dirty Feet Podcast.
Vous pouvez écouter tous nos épisodes sur notre site web ou vous pouvez vous abonner également sur iTunes à notre podcast.
Listen to past episodes on website or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes.
While you're there, be sure to give us a rating and or leave a comment to help us spread the word.
Tune in next week for a whole new show.